Sharpening the mind is not a gentle process, because nothing that grows stronger does so through comfort. The mind becomes sharper only when it is pushed, tested, and forced into territories that most people avoid. Discomfort is not an obstacle, it is the raw material from which mental strength is formed. People spend their lives running from discomfort, hiding from pressure, seeking softness, as if it will grant them peace. But softness does not create clarity. It does not create resilience. It certainly does not create a mind capable of cutting through complexity, deception, or adversity. Only those who willingly step into discomfort gain the power to rise above it. When you embrace discomfort, you learn to dismantle the illusions that keep most people weak. The moment you face something difficult, whether it be physical strain, emotional challenge, or mental fatigue, your mind instinctively tries to retreat. That retreat is the voice of weakness. Weakness wants safety, predictability, routine. It wants you to avoid challenge, to remain the same, to never grow beyond what you currently are. Weakness gives you excuses and convinces you that they are reasons. It whispers that a little more rest, a little more comfort, a little less effort will be harmless. But every time you obey that voice, you dull your mind just a little more. To sharpen your mind, you must become aware of the exact moments when weakness speaks. It appears whenever you doubt yourself, whenever you feel the urge to stop, whenever something feels too overwhelming. Those moments are not signs to pull back, they are opportunities to attack. The stronger mind emerges when you lean into what you fear, when you push past what makes you hesitate, when you continue moving forward while others retreat. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is the arena where strength is born. Destroying weakness is not a single act but a continuous process. It begins with small decisions, choosing discipline over ease, choosing effort over apathy, choosing growth over comfort. Every difficult action you take sharpens your mental blade a little more. Over time, the challenges that once intimidated you begin to feel trivial, and the problems that once paralyzed you become manageable. This transformation does not happen because the world becomes easier. It happens because your mind becomes stronger. When you train yourself to face discomfort with intention, the world begins to bend to your will instead of you bending to its pressure. A sharpened mind also requires brutal honesty. You cannot destroy weakness if you refuse to acknowledge it. Many people hide from their flaws, pretending they are strengths or pretending they do not exist at all. Real progress begins when you face your weaknesses without denial or emotion. Identify them, challenge them, and remove them piece by piece. It is the mind that can confront its own limitations without fear that ultimately gains the power to break through them. Embracing discomfort and destroying weakness is the foundation of true mental sharpness. Without this foundation, no strategy, no technique, no motivation can penetrate deeply enough to create real transformation. Power does not begin in the world outside. It begins in the silent territory of the mind. The individuals who rise, who influence, who shape outcomes are not the ones gifted with the strongest emotions, but the ones who learn to master them. Emotions are natural forces, instinctive, impulsive, often irrational. They appear without permission and attempt to direct behavior without offering wisdom. If you allow emotion to guide your decisions, you surrender control of your life to reactions rather than intentions. But when you learn to command your thoughts, emotion becomes a tool, not a ruler, and the balance of power shifts entirely in your favor. To control your thoughts, you must first understand how easily they can be manipulated by fear, pride, anger, envy, or desire. These emotions may feel powerful, but they cloud judgment. They pull your attention away from strategy and toward impulse. A mind ruled by emotion cannot remain focused, cannot foresee consequences, and cannot maintain discipline. It jumps, it wavers, it collapses under pressure. People who fall victim to emotional control often believe they are acting with conviction, when in truth they are simply reacting. They feel strong in the moment, but their strength dissolves the moment circumstances change. Mastering your thoughts requires separating feeling from action. When emotion rises, you do not obey it instantly, you observe it. Observation is the first stage of mental control. When you observe emotion rather than surrender to it, you delay its ability to influence your choices. In that delay, clarity emerges. With clarity comes power. You begin to see situations as they are, not as your emotions distort them. This distance between emotion and action is what allows great decision makers to remain calm while others panic, to think strategically while others are consumed by impulse. A controlled mind uses emotion with precision. Anger becomes fuel rather than chaos. Fear becomes awareness rather than paralysis. Desire becomes motivation rather than obsession. Instead of being dragged by emotional extremes, you channel them into actions that serve your goals. This ability makes a person unpredictable, difficult to manipulate, and fundamentally strong. Emotional control creates an internal stability that cannot be shaken by external events. The world may change, people may deceive or disappoint, obstacles may appear unexpectedly, but the mind that governs itself remains unmoved and unbroken. Controlling your thoughts also requires mastering your internal dialogue. The mind constantly produces narratives, stories of failure, doubt, or insecurity. These narratives shape how you respond to challenges. If you do not challenge these thoughts, they become commands. But when you recognize a destructive thought and replace it with a deliberate one, you reclaim authority within yourself. This internal authority is the foundation of resilience. It allows you to act according to intention, not impulse, and to move forward even when emotion urges retreat. True power does not come from suppressing emotion, but from understanding it so deeply that it no longer controls you. A disciplined mind makes decisions based on reason, strategy, and purpose. Emotion becomes energy, not direction. And when your thoughts are governed by clarity rather than chaos, you become capable of actions that others cannot comprehend or match. Every setback carries a weight, but that weight is not meant to break you. It is meant to be lifted, reshaped, and transformed into strength. Most people treat obstacles as interruptions to their progress, as if life is supposed to unfold cleanly and without resistance. But the mind that becomes sharper, stronger, and more capable sees obstacles for what they truly are: sources of information, opportunities for repositioning, and raw material for personal evolution. When you treat every setback as strategic fuel, you stop fearing failure and begin extracting power from it. A setback is never just a moment of difficulty. It is a message. When something blocks your path, it exposes a weakness, sometimes in your skill, sometimes in your plan, and sometimes in your mindset. Instead of feeling defeated, you learn to analyze what the setback reveals. This kind of analysis is not emotional, it is strategic. You look at what went wrong not to punish yourself, but to understand the architecture of the problem. When you understand the structure of your challenges, you also discover the structure of your solutions. This transformation in thinking changes everything, because obstacles stop looking like walls and start looking like maps. Using setbacks as fuel means refusing to waste pain. When people suffer a loss, embarrassment, or disappointment, they usually allow the emotional impact to override the lesson. They drown in frustration instead of extracting strategy. But pain is one of the most honest instructors you will ever encounter. It exposes your blind spots, reveals your limits, and unmasks the illusions you held about yourself. If you pay attention, the very thing that hurts you becomes the thing that sharpens you. You begin to see that setbacks do not weaken your journey, they carve depth into it. A mind capable of turning obstacles into advantage does not collapse under pressure, it expands because of it. When plans fail, you adapt. When people betray you, you learn their patterns. When circumstances shift, you shift faster. Setbacks force you to become more flexible, more observant, more strategic. They demand that you learn to move in ways you would never have considered if everything had gone smoothly. The greatest minds in history were not shaped in success, but in difficulty. They grew not by avoiding hardship, but by transforming hardship into insight. Another powerful aspect of embracing setbacks is the psychological advantage it creates. People expect failure to diminish you. When it strengthens you instead, you become unpredictable. Those who try to undermine you fail because their attacks only push you into deeper awareness. Those who expect you to break cannot comprehend how you rise not in spite of difficulty, but because of it. This ability to grow stronger through adversity places you in a league of your own. One where challenges are not threats but catalysts. Turning obstacles into instruments of advantage also changes your relationship with persistence. Instead of pushing forward blindly, you push forward intelligently. Every setback refines your approach. Every mistake sharpens your understanding. Every delay teaches patience, accuracy, and timing. Persistence stops being desperate effort and becomes strategic momentum. You move with purpose, not panic. You learn to wait when needed, to strike when the moment is right, and to rebuild with more precision than before. When you treat every setback as strategic fuel, you stop living afraid of failure. You begin to pursue goals with a level of confidence that can only come from knowing that nothing can truly defeat you. Not because everything will go your way, but because you will use everything, good or bad, as material for your advancement. Discipline is the element that separates potential from achievement, ambition from execution, and ideas from impact. Many people possess intelligence, talent, or natural ability, yet their lives never rise above mediocrity because their gifts remain unsharpened. Intelligence without discipline is like a blade left in the rain. No matter how finely crafted it once was, it will corrode, weaken, and eventually become useless. But when discipline is applied to the mind, it sharpens thought, strengthens character, and transforms raw ability into undeniable power. Discipline begins with consistency, the willingness to perform essential actions without relying on motivation. Motivation is temporary, it rises and fades like weather. Discipline is deliberate and unchanging. When you commit to disciplined action, you no longer wait for the perfect moment or ideal feeling. You act because the action is required, whether or not you feel ready. This repetition carves new patterns in your mind. It trains your thoughts to operate with clarity rather than chaos. Over time, this clarity becomes your natural state. You think with greater precision. You decide with more confidence, and you execute your plans with greater force. A disciplined mind is dangerous to those who depend on your weakness. People expect inconsistency. They expect you to say one thing and do another, to begin strong and fade when difficulty rises. When you refuse to bend to distraction, desire, or laziness, you defy those expectations. You separate yourself from the ordinary, and the world begins to treat you differently. This shift is not magic. It is earned through countless moments where you choose discipline over comfort. Every one of those decisions sharpens the mind, strengthening its ability to resist temptation and maintain focus. Discipline also protects your intelligence from the erosion of excuses. The undisciplined mind is full of explanations for why it cannot act, why it should wait, why it deserves comfort rather than effort. These excuses seem harmless, but they chip away at your self-respect. Each time you surrender to them, you silently reinforce the idea that you are incapable of mastering yourself. Discipline breaks this cycle by replacing excuses with evidence. Every disciplined act is proof that you can control your impulses, that you can exceed your perceived limits, and that you are capable of becoming someone stronger than your past. A critical aspect of discipline is structure. When your days lack structure, your mind drifts, your priorities scramble, your focus weakens. But when you create routines, intentional, purposeful systems, you establish boundaries that protect your mental energy. Structure is not confinement, it is freedom. It frees you from the chaos of indecision. It protects you from the exhaustion of constantly reacting. It allows you to channel your intelligence toward what matters most rather than scattering it on distractions that offer nothing in return. The disciplined mind also learns the value of delayed gratification. Most people chase instant rewards, choosing what feels good now over what benefits them later. But every time you delay gratification, you strengthen your internal command. You teach your mind that long-term victory is more important than short-term satisfaction. This mindset sharpens your strategic thinking. You begin to see beyond the moment, predicting consequences, planning ahead, and setting yourself up for outcomes that others are too impatient to achieve. Discipline does not eliminate difficulty, it prepares you to overcome it. When obstacles arise, the undisciplined mind panics, hesitates, or collapses. The disciplined mind adjusts, it stays focused, it finds solutions, it continues moving while others freeze. This relentless consistency builds momentum. And once momentum is on your side, intelligence becomes unstoppable. The combination of a sharp mind and unwavering discipline forms a weapon more powerful than talent alone could ever provide. A mind becomes sharper not by existing in isolation, but by constantly studying the world and the people within it. Observation is the first stage of mastery because the world is full of patterns. Patterns in behavior, patterns in desire, patterns in fear, patterns in ambition. Those who pay attention gain access to information that others overlook. Most people wander through life reacting to everything around them, without realizing how predictable their reactions are. But when you develop the discipline to observe, you begin to understand the forces that shape human actions. This understanding becomes a powerful advantage, one that transforms how you think, how you respond, and how you navigate every situation. Observing others is not about judgment, it is about clarity. When you watch how individuals respond to pressure, success, failure, or temptation, you learn what drives them. You see which of their words are genuine and which are masks. You begin to predict their decisions, not through guesswork, but through insight. People reveal themselves through their habits, their expressions, the way they speak, the way they move, and the choices they make when nobody is watching. The sharper your observation becomes, the more you realize that very few actions are truly random. Most people follow patterns shaped by their past and controlled by their emotions. Once you can see these patterns, you gain the ability to anticipate what they will do long before they do it. Prediction does not require supernatural skill. It requires attention. When you understand a person's desires, you understand their vulnerabilities. When you understand their fears, you understand their limits. When you understand their motivations, you understand their future behavior. A sharper mind uses this knowledge not for manipulation, but for strategy. Knowing how others move allows you to place yourself where opportunity opens and danger closes. It allows you to avoid unnecessary conflict, to align with the right allies, and to protect yourself from the intentions of those who speak one thing but plan another. The world becomes less surprising when you learn to see people clearly. However, the greatest observation you can make is the observation of yourself. Many people claim to understand others while remaining blind to their own flaws, impulses, and patterns. You cannot predict the moves of others if you cannot first predict your own. Mastering yourself requires brutal self-awareness. It demands that you examine your habits, your weaknesses, your emotional triggers, and the stories you tell yourself to avoid responsibility. A mind that does not understand itself cannot claim sharpness, no matter how intelligent it appears. True clarity begins when you are honest enough to confront your own patterns and disciplined enough to change them. Mastering your own mind means becoming aware of how you respond when you are tested. It means recognizing the excuses you repeat, the fear that holds you back, the impulses that control you, and the insecurities that influence your decisions. When you study yourself with the same precision you use to study others, you begin to dismantle the internal obstacles that prevent growth. You rebuild your mindset with intention rather than habit. You learn to shift from reaction to strategy, from emotion to logic, from impulsiveness to control. This internal mastery gives you the ability to stay composed when others fall apart, to think clearly under pressure, and to act decisively when the moment demands strength. A sharper mind emerges through the balance of external awareness and internal mastery. Observation teaches you how the world works. Prediction teaches you how people move within it. Self-mastery teaches you how to navigate both without losing your center. When you combine these three abilities, your mind becomes harder to deceive, harder to break, and harder to distract. You develop a psychological advantage that cannot be bought or inherited. It is earned through patience, depth of thought, and relentless self-honesty. Sharpening your mind is not a single action, nor a moment of sudden transformation. It is a deliberate forging, a process that demands discomfort, discipline, and an unbreakable willingness to confront both the world and yourself. You rise above weakness by stepping into the very challenges others avoid. You build true power by ruling your thoughts instead of allowing emotion to rule you. You transform every setback into strength by treating difficulty as fuel rather than defeat. You keep your intelligence sharp through disciplined action, refusing to let your mind rust in the comfort that dulls most people. And you elevate your awareness by observing others, predicting their moves, and mastering your own patterns with absolute honesty. If you commit to these principles, your mind will not merely grow sharper, it will become a force capable of shaping your path, bending circumstances to your will, and cutting through every obstacle that once held you back.